Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. Y&R spoilers, Victor pulls all the strings, Cain forced to recalculate his next move. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, recognizes that Cain Ashby, Billy Flynn, is a threat. That's why the mustache used his minions to gather intel for the past months. What is this? Cain anticipated a far different reception than happened in France. His estate party, or whatever one wanted to term it, was an unmitigated disaster, including 3 deaths. The whole world knows who Aristotle Dumas is now that Victor has given the green light to Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, to smear Cain. But the recast character Cain is playing only cares that 3 of those people, including his ex-wife and their children, were negatively impacted. Chancellor's exit was an inside joke. Chancellor, Connor Floyd, was a legacy character tied to the longest-standing family in Genoa City, Wisconsin. So, killing him off was a big deal. While Chance hasn't yet received a memorial service or even a send-off fitting of his blood tie importance, at least the fans were part of an inside joke. Readers of this comprehensive site know that Floyd was tapped to replace Flynn as Chad DiMera, now played by Floyd. Viewers of Days of Our Lives will see Floyd's debut next year due to that soap's highly advanced recording schedule. So, Cain asking Chance to be at the gathering in the south of France was purposeful. Cain's death scene was also a wink at the character swap between Days and Y&R. Lily Winters can't get away. Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, keeps telling Cain that she's done with him. Yet, Khalil and Flynn continue to appear in ongoing scenes. Cain is desperate to reconcile with his true love and the mother of their children. She knows he's sincere, but naturally doesn't trust him after all that's been revealed and has gone down. Accepting Victor's lead, Lily is attempting to pry information from Cain about whatever his takeover plans are. But he's not divulged anything. What is this? However, Cain stated that he would abandon his plan if she would give him a second chance, with no pun intended, as chance was fully addressed in the section above. Eventually, Lily seems destined to relent, but plenty of plot space is ahead before that becomes feasible. Cain Ashby doesn't want to be alone. Cain told Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, that he needs people on his team. Subsequently, he had a falling out with Billy when telling him that Jabot is a target. Phyllis is on board but was reminded that she's not Cain's equal. He appears to be using her as a means to an end and possibly wants her to be relaying information as a form of enemy distraction. There is no doubt that Cain wants Lily back. So, fans are focused on seeing what happens if he can't have her or doesn't achieve reconciliation in the short term. This site is a leading source for everything linked to the Young and the Restless. Check back regularly for Y&R spoilers and news. What is this? Cain Ashby doesn't want to be alone. Cain Ashby has always been one of those complicated characters on the Young and the Restless, someone who wears strength on his sleeve yet often carries deep vulnerabilities beneath the surface. His life has been defined by second chances, failed relationships, unexpected betrayals, and a constant need to find purpose in Genoa City. But recently, a new theme has begun to surround him: Cain doesn't want to be alone. It's a sentiment that's both heartbreaking and relatable, and one that may set the stage for his next big storyline. For fans who have followed Cain's journey for years, this development feels like a natural extension of everything he's been through, but it also opens the door to drama, romance, and even scandal. Cain's story has been anything but simple. From his early days of deception, pretending to be Philip Chancellor III, to his struggles with identity, fatherhood, and loyalty, he's been pulled in so many directions that it's no wonder he's craving stability. Cain's love life has also been a roller coaster, most notably with Lily Winters. Their relationship was once one of the most iconic pairings on the show, a love story built on chemistry, family, and forgiveness. Yet even love that powerful can fracture, and their marriage ultimately crumbled under the weight of betrayals, infidelities, and tragic misunderstandings. Though Cain has tried to rebuild himself since then, there's always been a lingering sense of loss, a hole in his life where Lily once stood. Now, as he faces the next chapter, it seems Cain is once again haunted by the question of who he is without someone by his side. That's where the idea of not wanting to be alone becomes so compelling. Cain has never thrived in isolation. His character was built around relationships, whether as a husband, a father, or a businessman, and every time he has been stripped of those bonds, he's spiraled into mistakes that cost him dearly. It's not hard to imagine that his latest desire for companionship could lead him into risky territory again. In a town like Genoa City, loneliness can be dangerous. It makes people vulnerable to manipulations, temptations, and ill-advised decisions. Cain has shown time and again that he's capable of giving into weakness when he feels abandoned. That fear of solitude could push him toward questionable alliances or into the arms of someone unexpected. Could Cain pursue a romance that shocks fans? Might he lean on someone like Audra Charles, who thrives on exploiting vulnerabilities? Or could he circle back toward old flames like Lily or Juliet's memory, desperately clinging to the past while trying to avoid the emptiness of his present? The beauty of Cain's current emotional state is that it offers limitless possibilities. Writers can use his loneliness to explore redemption or downfall. Imagine Cain falling into a whirlwind affair, only to realize it was a mistake born out of desperation. Or envision him building an unlikely friendship with someone who understands his struggles, helping him rediscover confidence in himself without relying solely on a partner. For once, maybe Cain's journey could be about learning how to find strength in solitude before rushing to fill the void. But of course, soap operas thrive on messiness, and Cain's history suggests that things won't stay neat for long. If Cain's fear of being alone grows too overwhelming, it might pull him into situations that put his family at risk. His children, Maddie and Charlie, have already seen their father make choices that strained their trust. Will they step in to help him, or will they distance themselves further if Cain makes another mistake in his search for love? The dynamic between Cain and his children could become a driving force, especially if his actions jeopardize their bond again. There's also the possibility of Cain becoming entangled in someone else's storyline. Genoa City is brimming with characters who are lonely in their own ways: Sharon, who has seen her share of heartbreak; Chelsea, who constantly struggles with finding stability; even Victoria, who has been betrayed so many times by the men in her life that she might cross paths with Cain in unexpected ways. Any of these connections could spark something new, something that reinvents Cain's purpose while feeding into his underlying fear of being alone. For fans, Cain's vulnerability is both frustrating and endearing. They want to see him succeed, to finally find happiness after years of turmoil. Yet they also know that his flaws are what make him fascinating. Cain is not a perfect hero, he is a man defined by mistakes and redemption arcs. That's why his struggle with loneliness resonates so strongly. It's a reminder that even the most confident people can crumble when left without a support system. The writers have an opportunity to dig deep into this theme. They could show Cain wrestling with his demons late at night, confiding in friends about his fears, or even breaking down in moments of raw honesty. They could highlight how loneliness affects people differently. Some hide it behind charm, others lash out with anger, and still others make reckless choices to escape the silence. For Cain, it could be a combination of all three, creating layers of complexity that fans will eagerly dissect. Ultimately, Cain Ashby's reluctance to be alone could shape the next big chapter of his character's evolution. Whether it leads to romance, scandal, redemption, or heartbreak, it ensures that Cain remains at the center of compelling storytelling. After everything he's endured, fans will be watching closely to see how he handles this new challenge. Will he fall into old patterns, or will he rise above his loneliness to discover a stronger version of himself? One thing is certain, Cain Ashby's story is far from over. As long as he continues to wrestle with his fear of solitude, Genoa City will never stop giving him chances to reinvent himself. And for viewers who have rooted for him through every triumph and every downfall, this new chapter is just the beginning of another unforgettable ride. Cain forced to recalculate his next move. Cain Ashby has never had a smooth road in Genoa City, and if history has taught fans anything, it's that this man's life is a chessboard where every decision either sets him up for triumph or tears everything apart. Cain is once again at a crossroads, a place that is both familiar and exhausting for him. But this time, the stakes feel even higher. He is being forced to recalculate his next move, and that means revisiting his past mistakes, reevaluating his current reality, and carefully deciding how he wants his future to unfold. Unlike before, there is very little room for error, because one wrong step could unravel everything Cain has been working so hard to rebuild. Cain's entire existence has been shaped by the concept of reinvention. When he first arrived in Genoa City pretending to be Philip Chancellor III, his life was one giant gamble. That lie gave him a family, a name, and a legacy, but it also set him up for years of betrayal and mistrust once the truth was revealed. From that moment on, Cain's story has been defined by the constant need to recover from the consequences of his choices. Every move he has made since then has been scrutinized, weighed against his history of deception, and used to question whether he is truly capable of change. Now, as Cain faces yet another turning point, it feels like the weight of those earlier choices is pressing down on him harder than ever. His relationship with Lily Winters, the love of his life and the woman he hurt most deeply, is in the past, and yet her shadow looms over every new decision he contemplates. His children are grown, and while they still love him, they no longer look to him for guidance in the same way. The business world in Genoa City, once a playground for Cain's ambitions, has shifted with power players like Victor Newman, Jack Abbott, and Devon Hamilton running the show. Cain, for all his determination, must now decide how he fits into this ever-changing landscape. This recalculation isn't just about strategy, it's about survival. Cain can't afford to be reckless anymore. In the past, he was quick to act on emotion, whether that meant falling into Juliet's arms in a moment of weakness or gambling with risky business deals that backfired spectacularly. Those decisions cost him his marriage, his reputation, and in some cases, his sanity. This time around, Cain knows the only way forward is to pause, analyze, and calculate every possible outcome before making his move. He cannot simply rely on charm or instinct, he has to outthink his adversaries and, more importantly, outthink his own worst tendencies. The question now becomes, what is Cain's next move? The options are wide open, but none of them are easy. On one hand, he could try to carve out a new identity entirely separate from his past. That might mean leaving Genoa City behind, striking out into a new city, and finally freeing himself from the weight of his history. Yet that option comes with its own dangers. On the other hand, Cain could choose to dive back into the business world, determined to prove that he can still be a player in the high-stakes game of corporate power. But business in Genoa City is ruthless, and one miscalculation could leave him bankrupt or worse. To succeed, Cain would need allies, and that's where things become even more complicated. Who could he possibly trust? Partnering with someone like Victor would mean sacrificing autonomy. Aligning with Jack might put him in the middle of the Abbott-Newman wars. Even Devon, who has always been a complicated figure in Cain's life, could either be his greatest supporter or his biggest obstacle. There's also the possibility that Cain's recalculation leads him back into personal relationships. Loneliness has been eating away at him for some time, and his desire to avoid being alone has already begun to influence his decisions. If Cain chooses to fill the void with romance, that could easily become his undoing. What if he rushes into something with the wrong woman, motivated more by fear of solitude than genuine love? What if his longing to rebuild what he once had with Lily blinds him to healthier, more stable options? Fans know that Cain's heart has always been his greatest weakness, and any move he makes in this arena must be weighed with extreme caution. The beauty of Cain's predicament is that it mirrors a universal struggle. Everyone, at some point, has had to step back, reevaluate, and recalibrate when life didn't go according to plan. For Cain, though, the recalculation is dramatic, and every choice is amplified by the soap opera spotlight. Each potential path is rife with danger and reward, and whichever direction he takes will ripple out into the lives of others around him. From a storytelling perspective, this recalculation could set the stage for a reinvention arc that fans have been craving. Cain has been absent from the front burner for too long, and this moment could thrust him back into the heart of Genoa City drama. Imagine Cain becoming a wild card in the power struggles between Newman and Chancellor Winters. Picture him rekindling sparks with a past love just as she is about to marry someone else, throwing everything into chaos. Or consider him finding an unlikely partner in someone like Phyllis Summers, another character who has spent years recalculating her every move to survive in a city that never forgives. Cain's story has always been about resilience. He has made more mistakes than most, yet he continues to pick himself up, dust himself off, and try again. This forced recalculation isn't a setback, it's an opportunity. An opportunity for him to show that he's finally learned from his past. An opportunity to take control of his destiny rather than reacting to circumstances. An opportunity to prove, once and for all, that Cain Ashby is more than just his failures. In the end, fans will be watching closely to see how this recalculation plays out. Will Cain emerge stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever before? Or will he fall into the same patterns that have haunted him for years? One thing is certain, whatever move he makes next will shape not only his future but also the future of those around him. Genoa City thrives on risk, and Cain Ashby is about to take the biggest risk of his life, the risk of finally getting it right.